Welcome to a podcast. Total Survey Design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Total Survey Design podcast. My name is Sanyap Lee.
And I'm Azdran Soma. In this episode, we discuss the target population.
While I was working as a survey design consultant, I had a client that came to me asking if I could take a look at his questionnaire. He wanted to study farmers of a very particular type of crop. Once we were done going over the questionnaire, I asked him, "So, how are you going to distribute this survey?" He had no idea. I asked him again, "Who is your target population?" He said, "This crop farmers." So I went, "Farmers in this region? Farmers in the United States? Farmers all over the world? Large-scale farmers? Small-scale farmers? Hobbyists?" He was not prepared to answer. This story might sound a bit absurd, but we often forget about the importance of defining your target population. And in this episode, we will talk more on this topic.
First, let's briefly explain why defining the target population is so important in survey research. According to the Dillman and colleagues 2014 book, the target population is essentially the group of people who you want to learn about through your survey. Your target population could be anything from employees at a school, students of a school, residents of an apartment building, potential customers of a business, users of a service, participants in a training, students in a classroom, and so on. Accurately defining who your target population is ensures that your survey results are relevant and applicable to the objectives of your study. Without a clear definition, you risk collecting data that is irrelevant or skewed, which can compromise the integrity of your findings.
There are several key characteristics to consider when defining your target population. These characteristics include demographics such as age, gender, or income. It could be also based on geographical location, whether it's a specific neighborhood, a city, region, or country, and specific behaviors or experiences relevant to the survey topic, such as did you purchase this product or do you have this specific hobby. To make this more concrete, let's look at a few examples. Hypothetically, for a health survey on diabetes management, your target population might be adults age 18 or over living with diabetes. Another hypothetical example would be a customer satisfaction survey for a new tech gadget might target tech-savvy younger adults aged, say, 20 to 50 who have purchased the product within the last 6 months. In these ways, the specifics of your target population can vary greatly depending on the survey's purpose. Defining your target population also significantly influences other aspects of your survey design. For instance, the wording of your questions need to be appropriate for your audience, depending on their level of education or how familiar they are with your survey topic. The choice of survey mode, whether it's internet, telephone, mail, or mixed mode, should also align with what the target population would find the most accessible and preferable. Finally, sampling methods must be chosen accurately to represent the target population, ensuring that every segment of your target population is appropriately included without sampling error.
Let's consider for a moment what happens if your target population isn't well defined. You might end up with data that is not relevant to your research questions, or you could miss out on critical subgroups within the population. This can lead to having results that are biased, and therefore your findings will have low reliability and validity. Reliability is whether your measures are consistent, while validity is whether your findings are accurate and truthful. By clearly defining who you are surveying, you can make sure that you collect data that truly represents the population in question, and therefore improving both reliability and validity. This foundational step helps you draw more accurate conclusions and make informed decisions based on your survey data. It will allow you to more confidently write in your findings that the results apply to the population you are surveying. In other words, let's say that your survey objectives are to figure out what your customers want from your business, and you survey people who are actual customers of your business. You will be able to confidently say that the findings meaningfully represent what your customers think and feel. I can't say this enough. Your target population is directly related to the objective of your study. If you're having trouble figuring out your target population, you need to go back and look at your study's objectives. If the study's objectives are unclear, you need to develop them first before considering the target population.
Let's look at another example of how the objective of a survey determines the target population. Consider a public health survey aiming to improve the use rates of a certain medication. If the objective is to understand barriers to using this medication, your target population should include patients who potentially need this medication. The choice of survey mode, whether it is again internet, phone, mail, or mixed mode, it affects how you define and reach your target population. Depending on your target population, people have varying levels of access and comfort with these modes. Understanding your target population's preferences and accessibility is crucial in selecting the appropriate survey mode. The sampling frame is another critical aspect to consider when thinking about the target population. A sampling frame is essentially a list of database from which you draw your sample, representing the target population. We have previously discussed on episode 11, Sampling Design Part 2, the sampling frame, but consider that a well-constructed sampling frame ensures that every member of the target population has an equal chance of being included in the survey, which is essential for obtaining data that is representative and unbiased. For example, if you are a teacher and you are trying to survey all of the students in your class, having a list of emails for all the students in your class is your sampling frame.
Finally, refining the definition of your target population is an iterative process. Start with a broad definition and progressively narrow it down, with the goal of making it clear and specific as much as possible. Consider your survey's objectives and repeatedly ask yourself if those objectives are being achieved with your selected target population. Pilot testing your survey with a small segment of the target population can provide valuable insights, helping you further refine your definition before actual full deployment. In conclusion, defining your target population is a foundational step in survey research that impacts every aspect of your study, from design to data collection to analysis. By following these guidelines and practical tips, you can ensure your surveys are well targeted, generating reliable and valid results that are generalizable to your population.
Don't forget to subscribe.